Well, Jim, what a turnaround from the first half to the second. I think probably the best 45 minutes of the season, and then maybe the worst. What do you put that down to today?
I wouldn't say it was the best 45. I think Southport was definitely the best 45. I thought we showed lots of good energy, stuck to the game plan. We expected a reaction from them at half-time. We knew they'd go with two up top. There was a couple of threats in the first half. We maximised all our opportunities. But we expect them to go to two, so we said to Jimmy Ball, we might need to utilise you as a floating centre-back and make sure, if they play a 3-5-2, we play a 3-5-2, and make sure the three look after the two, but they didn't.
You lost Jason Oswald to, I believe, a hamstring strain at half-time, and that's obviously a major blow for you as well. Yeah,
because I think, obviously we asked Adam and Matty to play as sort of a 9 and a 10 or 2 10s, and they never really connected, never really had the physicality to, if you like, hold on to the ball. Had the threat on the counter-attack if they were able to work off each other. But like they didn't have physical centre forwards. They had two centre forwards, and when one come off, the back three stayed in place, and then as soon as he turned, one of them by it, and then they'd create a 2v1 on one defender, and it was, as a centre half, I'm embarrassed with the performance of the back three to deal with the front two.
Having said all of that, the ball was given away further up the pitch, wasn't it? And you must be disappointed with those turnover of possession for the first two FC goals.
Yeah, of course. I mean, without giving too much away, we talked about what we wanted to do, and I thought we had a lot of players who wanted to take an extra touch, wanted to play an easy pass. Perhaps they didn't see the big picture and be able to play balls. I know Matty got man of the match, but it was a poor ball from him to give away for the second. So you're vulnerable to the transitional counters because we've got players breaking, trusting him, and all of a sudden then they're counter-attacking or what I call a transitional counter-attack in the midfield line. But I still feel that simple messages like to the back five of be goal side of your man, go tight with your men, don't let them get on the front foot. I just didn't get across to players, and when players turn around and they don't understand what I mean by being goal side, what chances you've got of goal as a coach.
Do you think some players felt the game was won at half time? I think quite a few fans did. I might have been amongst them.
No. I mean, obviously our record at home has been good. I thought, I didn't think the game was done. I felt that they've got goals in them. I've watched them in the last two games and they've scored 9 goals. I think they came to the first half, they keep it tight. They had 3 centre-backs playing in the back 4. They had 2 effective full-backs playing as wingers. So we expect them to try and keep it tight. They're probably a little bit shell-shocked that they went in 3-0 down, but he always had a plan B I felt, to bring on the likes of Joel Logan and a second centre-forward, because I've seen them utilise those players very well in the previous 2 games. So I expected that, and that's where I sort of said to my players that they're going to go with 2 up top. They might go with 2 really aggressive wingers. Keep the back 5 tight. Make sure there's no holes between the lines. Look after 10. Don't give the ball away. Make sure your set plays are good. And all that information seemed to dissipate after the first goal. And players didn't. Obviously, they played across the midfield line, but our back 4 never shifted to close the space. They never went in with players. They never gave each other mutual cover, and they exposed themselves really poorly. So I was disappointed with their performance, but credit to FC for changing the shape and being bold and crafting out goals. It wasn't crash bang football. They crafted them out, and like I said, we had a lot of naive central half defending.
You mentioned Jimmy Ball as a floating centre half. Did he struggle in that position, do you think?
Well, he gave the ball away for the first one, but I think Jimmy needs to step up his game. He's physically good, but he needs to play with more tempo. I think in the first half he struggled a little bit to contain 10. Kept leaving his man. I think when you play the 4 role, sometimes you utilise as a screen. Sometimes you have to mark a 10. And then if the 10 pushes on, sometimes you have to be, if you're out of the game and they're playing 2 against our centre-halves, he has to know how to become if you like, a 3rd centre-back or a floating centre-back to make sure that he's protecting the back 4 from being overloaded. And I thought that we struggled with that at Leamington until I kind of got to grips with it when the 10 was pushing on. And I thought that it was a poor performance because the centre halves never really got to grips with the lad who came off his shape. And you'd expect Jimmy or one of them to go in and the other one to give the cover, and they never really got that right. Last 20 minutes when they asked them to go man for man with a sweeper, they kind of, even then I think they struggled with the concept. And you're going back to basic man for man all over the pitch with a sweeper. And if you don't dive in, you don't sell yourself, you don't give the ball away, you don't make runs unnecessarily, then you see the game out. But we made a lot of poor errors throughout the pitch, both with possession and out of possession, and we basically they took advantage of that.
I've got to ask you about what looked a really poor tackle on Scott Duxbury in the second half. His leg was planted at the time, and it was quite a high tackle. How is he?
Yeah, well, you only have to look at the. I mean, it's a bugbear of mine because they call it the fair play table, and we're bottom of it, and FC United are top of it. So we expected them to be like Keighren. We expected it to be a local derby, wet pitch. We expected some challenge to fly in, but you know the referee's got to understand that he has a part to play in terms of cutting out challenges like that. But you know, whether the lads made a genuine attempt for the ball, I think you know it's a poor challenge that can injure players, and you know there was a lot of them sort of challenges in the game, so you expect that. He's a loss because he was one of our star players last week, and Jason was a loss. Like I said, you know, we won't be rushing them back for Tuesday. We'll just assess them and see where they're at. And like I said, just when you feel like you've got a very strong squad, and you've got a strong bench, and then you see that kind of. I thought the subs who came on today didn't really add energy to the match. So we've got plenty of work to be doing, and it starts Tuesday night.
In terms of the replay, how do you approach that game? Do you take a similar approach to what you took today? Because you were fast out of the box this afternoon.
Well, like I said, we had a game plan, and we felt that we wanted to press and counter. It takes a lot of energy, and for me, Gary Stockport was the man of the match. We used to call Tommy Rowe Tommy Two Men, but Gary was, you know, Gary Two Men. Fantastic energy and athleticism and pressed and always made it uncomfortable for them, and that allowed like Sir Jason and Adam and Matty just to sort of box clever and have the energy for the counter attack. And so look, Gary was a plus today. I thought there was a couple of players who were plus for large parts of the game. What we need to do now is this away strategy we've been talking about, we need to kick it in now on Tuesday instead of Saturday.
In terms of the injury, but obviously we mentioned Jason and Scott Duxbury. What is the extent of the injuries as far as you understand it at this point? Well,
we don't know at the moment. Obviously Jason felt his hamstring, did the right thing to notify Nick. Nick's also cautious because obviously you can miss a half a game, maybe a game, and then you're fit for the next one rather than going out and risking it and being out for 6 weeks. So that's a fair shout. It caught us a little bit cold. We didn't want to. We felt if we brought Harry in and match up their shape, because we read what the script was going to be with them, you know, 3-5-2. I thought if we matched up shape, and we all cancelled, and we'd all did our jobs properly in terms of cancelling out their front four with our back five and cancelling out their midfield by killing space and making them play in front of us, that we did a job. But so we don't know at the moment with Jason, and we don't know with Scott. It always looks dramatic when the type of challenge it was and the stretcher comes out. But sometimes when it's an impact only, it might be just a couple of days. But when it's an impact that causes a twist or a kind of thing, then it could be more. But we'll get that fully assessed. And like I said, I always end up doing this interview before I actually speak to the physio. So I'll be sitting in the office now for the next hour, just sort of taking stock on what we want to do and who's available. But I think there's enough players there to come in. We don't have a natural target man. You know, the fans wanted more quality in our nine, and if you want more quality in your nine, you have to pay a little bit more, but that compromises the amount of number nines you can have. So, and with Darren injured and George West struggling with his back, and we're going to have to perhaps think about, you know, other options as a number nine, whether that be Bowen or whether that be Adam Thomas. So, but we'll keep a few things up our sleeve and look at the overall shape, and like I said, just dust ourselves down. It's disappointment, and they might feel that the momentum's with them, but it's a game on. It's another 90 minutes, potential extra time, and penalties come Tuesday night. So that's the drama of the FA Cup. So bitterly disappointed we've conceded 3 goals second half, especially the nature of it. But like I said, if we reflect on the overall game and the way we played first half, we'll go to FC United's ground with good confidence that we can take the game to them and get ourselves into the next round.
Jim, thanks for your time. I'll see you Tuesday.
You're welcome.
Thank you.